Welcome back, everybody. We're here today with one of my favorite shows of the week, the recap show of the week, the Friday Review. Also bringing you brand new research every single Friday. So 2 brand new research studies on all things that I think you should know about, whether it's wellness, anti-aging, early diagnostic testing, and so much more. Plus, if you like early diagnostic testing, you're going to want to check out our product review for this week. I just had it done myself, very first time. Can't wait to share that with you. I've got a book review for you today. If you've never heard about this book, again, we'll get to it, especially if you just listen on audio. And then we always do our recaps for the week. So let's dive right into the show. I love starting off with kind of like where I'm at right now. I wanted to share this with you. I've been waiting actually a little bit of time for me to fully recover. But you know what? The reason why I want to share, I always am an open book. I share with you everything that's going on in my life, especially as well as this, is that I got salmonella food poisoning. It was last Monday, and it was like nothing I've ever experienced since 2011, the last time I got it. And I was overseas traveling the very first time. I was in an airport in India. My flight got canceled. It's a hole-in-the-wall airport. There's one fast food place. Who knows how long the food's been there. It wasn't cooked, obviously, very well. I got extremely sick. I ended up missing the next 48 hours of a new internship that I was starting, which was supposed to be that very next day. So that was absolutely terrible. I felt, I didn't feel well for days. This time, again, I made the mistake because I have strong digestion, got good digestion. But sometimes you try to take advantage of that, and it ends up showing you who's boss. And that was undercooked chicken. I knew it wasn't fully cooked. I saw it. I basically ate around the areas that looked undercooked and ate what looked cooked. Anyway, I felt fine. That night, I've got fever and chills. I ended up throwing up the whole next day. Couldn't eat for 3 full days. It was brutal. But what I can share with you is this, is again, like all of these lessons that we learn through life, and sometimes we have to relearn. So I had to relearn this one. Hopefully I don't need to relearn it again. I've got it. It's been more than 10 years, but I hopefully have it this time. But you don't eat chicken sushi. As I've been saying, you stay away from those things. And but what I always used, and I use it as basically a teaching moment, I shared inside of our IHP community, our integrative health practitioners. This is what I did. I did the intestinal cleanse, which is the universal binder and the intestinal cleanse-based product. I used the proteolytic enzymes away from those, and I used a product called GI Balance, basically 3 times a day. And although I'm not giving you medical advice, what I always do, if I'm able to heal naturally, that is what I do. If you need medical attention, you should absolutely get medical attention. But reason I also wanted to share with you this, because I could obviously just not mention it at all, is that I was able to push through my work week. Last week, I did all the essentials that I needed to do, but not more than that. But I just wanted to share with you that, whether it's myself or anyone else like in a health practice that you may check out their podcasts, their books, et cetera, is that, we're all still human, right? And these things do happen. And sometimes, again, I do believe that we continue to push things to see maybe how far we can go. This was one of those examples. And I want to be a little more cognizant myself as well, that when you're going through a good routine, don't take it for granted. Don't do things that, I knew it was undercooked. And at the same time, I said, well, if I'm not able to eat this, then I'm not going to be able to eat. And so I was like, I don't really want to be hungry. But I simply could have just been hungry for a small period of time. Like, that's the thing. It would have been the smarter choice rather than waiting, honestly, 3 days to eat. And I've done fasting before, so I was okay with it. But the truth is that I didn't feel well. Like, I felt literally sick to my stomach and just wiped out for probably a good 5 days, to be honest. And so wanted to share that with you. Salmonella food poison is no joke. It's literally poisoning your body with bacteria. But I'm here to talk about it. I'm back. Wanted to share that with you, but that's where I've been for the last week. So wasn't really on social media. Wasn't doing any Instagram stories. Unfortunately, there was no workouts. There was nothing except healing. And these moments do happen in our lives, and we have to just roll with the punches, as they say. All right, so that's it. That's my updates. I'm back finally. I'm actually looking forward to now being back. You're very appreciative of what you have when it starts to get taken away. And when you're not able to do it for a week, that's a big part of it. Going to bed early and just trying to heal that body. But Having said that, even though I just did a 3-day fast, I have my quarterly fast, which I make sure that I do with the community, and that's every 12 weeks. So we have our summer one coming up. That begins 6/19, June 19th, a little bit earlier this year, and that is because we didn't want it to conflict with 4th of July for those people celebrating in the U.S. And so we're going to start a little bit early, make sure we get into our best summer shape, feeling great with our energy levels. And so we're going to be beginning that 6/19. Would love for you to join us this week. You can buy 3, get 1 free for the Functional Medicine Detox over at EquiLife. Why is this important? Because you get 1 free. You can use it for yourself. You can get a group of people together, save yourself $100. It's an amazing detox to do before the start of the summer. I will be doing mine. Mine will be modified just slightly since I did 3 days of fasting, but I will absolutely be doing mine along with the community. So again, we also provide free support all 7 days or 14, 21 days, whenever you'd like to do it, at cabralsupportgroup.com, cabralsupportgroup.com. That's completely free to check out. All right, so buy 3, get 1 free. You can find that at stephencabral.com/shop this week. Podcast recap for the week. On Monday, episode 2670, we did a show called Do You Know Your Preferred Love Language? Now, why this is an important show is because one of the biggest things about being healthy and getting healthy is reducing stress in your life. And a big part of that is relationships. And so when I started to learn about this thing called the love languages, I was like, oh, I find this fascinating because I find psychology in general, if I didn't go into health-based work, physical health-based work, there's no doubt I would go into psychology. And I use a lot of psychology, obviously, in my practice, but I love it. I really admire the work, and I find it very interesting how the human mind works. So each one of us, for reasons I go into on the show, have a preferred way that we appreciate being shown love. And if your way doesn't match up with your partner's way, well, there can be conflict. So definitely check out that show. Really fascinating one. I didn't make this up. Obviously it's been around now for some time. Definitely worth checking out. All right, Tuesday's show is Should You Eat Protein at Breakfast? I go in depth as to what protein does, the pros and the cons, and whether you want to push that to a little bit later in the day. And then if so, what type. Episode 2672 was the unheard benefits of a 10-hour eating window. That's an important one for intermittent fasting. So basically that means an intermittent fast of 14 hours and an eating window of 10 hours. Who that's best for. So check out that show. And yesterday's show was Could You Pass This Fitness Test? I love doing this one every once in a while. I've done a bunch of different fitness tests in the past. This was one that I'm going to be conducting myself. So if I'm going to be doing it myself and talking about it inside of High Performance Health, I wanted to share it with you as well. So check those out. All those shows are available at stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, let's go through our product review of the week. This was a fun week. Well, let's put it this way. It was not a fun week getting food poisoning. However, I can tell you that focusing on my health and doing this one thing really kept it in the forefront of my mind. So inside of High Performance Health, that's the new course that we have for anti-aging, life extension, how to add 20 years to your life. That's legitimate. That's not hype. And then also teaching how to become certified as a high performance health coach. Well, we have something called the 10 mortality tests, or better yet, we renamed it the 10 vitality tests. The 10 tests that you should run every single year to ensure a clean bill of health. Like literally, meaning like if you have these things, you can stop worrying about dying of cardiovascular issues, blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's. You honestly, like the tests are meant to give you the peace of mind. They really are. And so I go through those inside of Module 2 of High Performance Health. You can learn more about those if you'd like at highperformancehealth.org. But it's a company. First of all, let's call it this. It is a full body MRI. Why would you use a full body MRI? A full body MRI is a way that you are able to detect over 500 plus health conditions and detecting cancer as early as stage 1, right? There's no stage 0, there's 1. And so that means if you're able to detect tumors at stage 1, you have an 80 to 90+% survival rate. Versus if you find it at stage 3 or 4, unfortunately, which a lot of people do, then the 5-year likelihood of survival is not as high. So what we want to do is teach people cardiovascular risk is easy to look for. It really is. So is blood pressure. So is diabetes. They're easy to look for. But dementia and cancer, we can look for, which is not as easy to look for, on a full body MRI. It is painless. There's no needles. There's no injection. There's no contrast dye that they inject in some people for other scans that you need to have. And there's no radiation. So we're using magnets to be able to detect tiny microscopic cancers in the body. If there are any, of course, like we hope that there's none. And so I had this done because I'm going to be going through these 10 vitality tests every single year. And so I looked around and did my research. And the company that I found was head and shoulders above the others is Prenuvo. Prenuvo is a company that you're going to be hearing more and more about. So I always want to try to break this news first, on the show. But they have locations right now in Florida, in Texas, California, a couple in California, and one in Vancouver in Canada. They're going to be opening additional locations this year, another in Florida, Chicago, Boston, and a couple others. So I'll link up their website today at today's podcast. So all the links to make today's show easier is stephencabral.com/2674. I'll put all the links right there. So here's what I went for. I went for peace of mind because now as part of my schedule, yearly schedule, I'm just going to get checked for cardiovascular, blood pressure again, which is easy, type 2 diabetes, all these things. Why does it matter? So that I don't have to worry about these things. If you don't die of one of these things, this is the truth. There's almost no likelihood of you dying before 90 to 100 years old. There's none. Because there's COPD, and if you don't smoke, the likelihood of you getting COPD is so low, because the second reason besides smoking for COPD is secondhand smoke, okay? And then after that, it's chemical exposure. So, okay, now we take away that one, and what we're left with is really just, honestly, accidents. And so I share this inside of High Performance Health, like how do we reduce accidents, and we go through these specific things, but the truth is this. So then when you think, I share with people this, what if you knew you were gonna live to 100 years old? Would you live your life differently? And so I had that conversation with myself about 5 years ago. I said, okay, like whatever you're doing right now, you're in this now for the long game. Okay, so if I'm in my mid-40s now, and I know that I can live at least double my lifespan of what I've lived right now, I look differently at retirement. I look differently at, my kids, my time now, like all these different things. Like I've got time. I have time. And so that's what we try to teach as well, again, inside of High Performance Health. But what I want to share with you about Prenuvo and why I chose them over the others is that it is the very best equipment and technicians in the United States to be able to do this. And now we have one in Canada, and I'm sure they're going to be opening probably all around the world. And it's also ease of use. I walked into a beautiful facility. I believe her name was Diane, who was my Diana, my concierge person. And Stephen was my technician. And they made me feel super comfortable. I changed, if you saw it on my Instagram stories, got changed into my, hospital gear, right? My not a gown, right? But you're actually in your scrubs, so you go in scrubs. And then you lie down on this comfortable table. You go into the full body MRI, but the amazing thing is this. They didn't tell me this. I didn't know this ahead of time. You get to just choose your favorite Netflix movie or TV show, and you watch that for the next, whether you do a half hour, 45-minute, or hour scan. So you're literally watching the TV the whole time, taking a little bit of a nap while you're going in for a scan, which is completely painless. Then, the nice thing is this. Within just 5 to 10 days, you get your results back, and you get all your results walked through on a phone call with a nurse practitioner. Plus, then all of your results are available for you on their private website, so you can have all of your explanation right there. And hopefully, of course, you have a clean bill of health, and then you're able to go through the specific markers where there might have, because again, you're looking at markers that could be cysts or different things like that too, that are not cancerous, but they're able to find so many different things as needed in the body. So again, the likelihood scenario is that you get a nice clean bill of health. That's what you're aiming for. But if you ever do need additional care, then they as professionals are able to then share next steps. And you'll have most likely time, because you caught this at stage 1. And so you get to take all the fear, all the anxiety, all the worry about this, away from this. And the reason why I even decided to do this in the first place is that a colleague of mine, a brilliant medical doctor, said, listen, if you have cancer, you're going to find out anyway. So when would you rather find out? When it's almost untreatable at the very end, when you start to have a lot of symptoms, or in the very beginning when there's a lot of things that you can do that would be very easy to remove it. So that's how I looked at it. I think it's highly beneficial and the utmost professionalism. They also have essentially 3 different options. One for a torso, so they just scan your torso. The other one for the head and torso, so they can start to look for issues with the brain as well and dementia. And then they have a whole body, which looks at not only the torso and the brain that are the most important. They look at the extremities, and they also do a spinal analysis as well. So check them out for sure. The company's name is Prenuvo, or at least for our community. And I hope that this is ongoing for quite some time. But if you are interested in taking advantage of this, it is a $300 savings they passed along to our community. Again, I'm not being paid to share this with you, but I do believe in it, and I definitely recommend it. And you can save $300 by going to prenuvo.com/Dr. Stephen Cabral. We're going to link that up just to make sure you get the right link at stephencabral.com/2674. That's where I would go today to make sure we have the right code for you because it may change in the future. Again, stephencabral.com/2674, and I will get you set up with Prenuvo. Great company, definitely gets my seal of approval. All right, excellent. So, and we'll share more of the additional testing in the future as well. But right now I want to move on to a book by Dr. Ben Hardy. I got to meet Dr. Ben. He gave a talk at a big health summit that I was a part of. I was very fortunate. There was 100 health founders invited out to beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. I was in what's called Paradise Valley. It truly is paradise. It's amazing. Right below Camelback Mountain. Beautiful resort, great people, friendly staff, and even better was the group of founders that I was with. It's curated very nicely to invite business owners of health companies that are trying to do something to better this world. So it's not just about the money. It's not just about fame or ego or anything like that. All of these companies are essentially competitors of each other. But when you're with these group of people, they don't see it that way. Literally, I've done 5 phone calls since I've been back talking with people like, hey, how can we partner to help people? How can we work with your software? Like all these different things. Anyway, great event. And so I'm very fortunate to be a part of that. But I got to, I've spoken a couple years ago at the event. I was simply an attendee because it's that valuable. And I got to speak and listen to Dr. Ben Hardy. His newest book is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. He doesn't even know that I'm promoting this right now. But this is a book for people looking to switch careers. Maybe they're an entrepreneur, maybe they're a health coach, maybe they're just looking to get more out of their career and life. But it is truly a book about mindset. And so a big part of what I talk about is mindset. It is the understanding that, what got us to where we are in life is not going to get us to that next level. It's just not. Like in order for me to heal, I had to become a different person. I really did. In order for someone to make the next jump in their career, they can't just do a little bit more of what they're doing or even a lot more of what they're doing. And that's what this book is all about. So like, for example, when you are on a low carb diet and you're looking to lose weight, you can't go lower than low carb, right? Like once you get to basically less than 25 carbs a day, you maxed out your low carb diet. Like that's it. And the same with like, okay, I want to improve my cardio. Well, if how long are you going to run? Like that's the thing is like, okay, are you running for weight loss? What are you running for? And so we even look at this in strength training as well. You can only do bench pressing for so long before you start to have to train your triceps and anterior deltoids and the body in a different way to become stronger so that when you go back to the bench press, it gets stronger. Like you can't keep doing the same thing in life and expect a different result. And so that is really what Dr. Ben Hardy talks about in this. Dr. Ben is a psychologist, and this is his work specifically. It's I think co-written or at least in conjunction with a strategic coach by Dan Sullivan. I am not a part of that. I know a lot of people who have been. They've said only great things about it. So if you're interested in really, it talks about how world-class entrepreneurs achieve more by doing less. But by less, what it really means is doing one thing differently really, really well and finding out what that thing is. So if this is of interest to you, if it can help with that mindset, I'll link this up here today. Again, it is 10X is easier than 2X. All right, we're going to go over some research here today. The first one is this. I get asked all the time, shouldn't I be drinking red wine? Red wine contains resveratrol. Resveratrol helps with senescent cells. It helps with aging. It helps with overall inflammation and sirtuins and all these fun words that we throw out, right, with life extension and longevity. And so I said, okay, red wine does contain resveratrol. However, this is the research. This is the definitive research on it. There is not enough resveratrol in a glass of red wine. And that is because, unfortunately, red wine contains about 1.5 to 3 milligrams of resveratrol per liter. A standard bottle of wine is about 750 mLs. So that's about 3/4 of a liter, which is about 1,000 mLs. So therefore, to obtain 500 milligrams of resveratrol, and we'll talk about that dosage in a moment, you would need to consume around 167 to 333 liters, which is about 44 to 88 gallons of red wine per week. That's a lot of red wine, right? That's a lot of red wine. Some people might be up for the challenge, but we can't recommend that. So when we look at red wine, and I know that I'm actually going to do a show about wine because there's this blue zone tenet of wine at 5. And I want to talk more about that because there's also definitive research now when men drink more than 3 glasses of alcohol per week, their all-cause mortality, or especially for cancer, goes up dramatically. And for women, 2 glasses or more per week. So how can that be when 7, like you drink a glass of wine a day, that's 7 glasses. So I'm going to get more into that on a future podcast. I always leave my mind open and I think that there may be something to it, but not in the way that people are thinking and not in the way that we consume alcohol in this country. So what I want to share with you is I don't even believe that people should be taking 500 milligrams of resveratrol every single day yet. The reason is this, is that their research is back and forth. 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams a day, yes, but or it could be 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams once or twice a week. It seems to be an issue when high doses of resveratrol or resveratrol are taken on a daily basis. It seems that it may actually be counterproductive to take that much resveratrol on a daily basis, which is why 150 milligrams of resveratrol, which is a much more absorbable form, seems to be the way to go. So I just want to share that with you. Again, been doing a lot of this research. I always err on the side of caution. The last research study, and I'm happy to go over more questions on that, so just let me know. For sure, happy to help with that. The last one is some medications may be causing hearing loss. So certain drugs, even ones sold over the counter, can be toxic to your hearing. Ototoxic or ototoxic. So let me give you a few of these as well. So sudden hearing loss, which is it's often referred to as, can actually be linked to certain antibiotics. It can also be linked to things such as antihistamines, potentially. Also, chemo-based medications, cisplatin is one of those, and over-the-counter painkillers such as aspirin or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications such as naproxen and ibuprofen. There are also some hearing loss issues associated with loop diuretics, right, for heart failure or kidney drugs such as Lasix or Mumix and Demodex, as well as hydroxychloroquine, which has been used oftentimes for lupus, but sometimes used for viral-based issues as well. This is directly from Dr. Chad Ruffin, who is a cochlear implant surgeon and is one of the foremost authorities on this. The only one that he didn't mention is histamine-based, and so, I won't put that in his words. It's just something that I've seen in my practice. It can lead to potentially, just again, what I've seen in my practice, anecdotally, tinnitus. And he also says that tinnitus can be linked to taking aspirin at high dosages for too long as well. So I wanted to share that with you. Again, if there's any questions or concerns around your medication, you'll ask your medical doctor, seeing if they're able to lower your dosage. Obviously, your medical doctor will let you know that, or potentially wean off if you begin to heal those underlying root causes. Hopefully today's Friday review was helpful. Again, all of the links, whether it's for Prenuvo or it's the book review or so much more, will be at stevencabral.com/2674. Take care, everybody. I'll talk with you tomorrow on the weekend Cabral House Calls. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.